Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Wondery.
Is that what we're forgetting?
Josh Arnold, investment consultant, brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1557, June 5th, 2025, 99 degrees on this day a couple of years ago, 2021, and 40 degrees in the year 2000. Call Josh at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
I'd like to clear something up for our president. He's busy. He might not be aware of this. Excuse me. But I was noting in the paper today that he wants to inspect the U.S. gold supply at the bullion depository at Fort Knox because he thinks that the gold might be gone. Doesn't he know that a guy named Oric Goldfinger already plotted this?
He took that.
And he had how he did it, sir. You like when you're called sir. Yeah. He had a gang of female stunt pilots, and they flew over.
Led by who, Joe?
What the hell is her name?
Pussy Galore.
Pussy Galore. And they flew over Fort Knox, and they dropped a poisonous gas on all the soldiers, and they keeled over.
Boom.
And then Oric Goldfinger and his men went in, but then there's a guy named James Bond who confronted Oddjob and electrocuted him. So the last we heard that the gold might have remained in Fort Knox, but we don't know for sure.
You've got to get in there and take a look.
We just don't know for sure. But, Don, that happened. Hell, that had to be about 1964. And that was, you know what debuted in that movie?
Wait,
the new Mustang.
Think.
The Mustang.
Really?
Yeah.
Which, wait a minute.
Driven by the Babe. That driven by the Babe who
Miss Galore
had been driven by the Babe who had been painted, the sister of the Babe who had been painted gold by Goldfinger.
Are you sure you're not talking about diamonds or
Kenny? I know my Goldfinger.
Okay,
Goldfinger starts in Miami with Oric Goldfinger playing cards with some sap that he keeps winning from.
Yeah.
And Goldfinger solves that. Yeah. And the Babe who was doing the spotting for Goldfinger and relaying what cards his opponent had, she ended up covered in gold and died, of course. And then later in the film, we meet her sister, who's driving the brand new Ford Mustang that was just
64 and a half.
Released, yeah.
Tilly Masterson.
Tilly Masterson, yeah.
You want to take this serious?
I am. I'm telling Don that, you got to get a hold of Goldfinger.
So it was Nixon that took the country off the gold standard, correct?
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful and fun conspiracy theory for guys like me for the past, 5 years since I became aware of it, that there might not be any gold in there at all.
Yeah.
And that nobody is allowed to go in there and look.
That's what Trump wants to get to the bottom of.
Well, that's interesting, Mr. President, sir, but I am more interested in the UFO thing. That's far more interesting to me. And what happened at Dealey Plaza.
The Lexington Herald Leader, because Fort Knox is west of Lexington, Kentucky. The Herald Leader contacted several lawmakers and agencies about whether Trump had sought a visit, including representatives for the White House, Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, Fort Knox officials, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and Utah Senator Mike Lee, a leading proponent of a visit to the... What do you mean? You can't? You're the president. Can't he go there? Are we locking everybody out of this place?
Get out.
None confirmed a visit. About half the Treasury's gold is stored at the depository, according to the U.S. Mint. The depository holds 147.3 million ounces of gold, along with other valuables of other federal agencies. The amount of gold stored at the depository is worth about $435 billion, according to Barron's. Well, you know what that is? That's nothing. We're $33 trillion in debt. That's pocket change. The depository operates on a strict no-visitor policy and has been opened only twice, well, not counting Oric Goldfinger, to non-authorized personnel, according to officials at the Mint. Well, I'll be dipped. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Isn't there also a reserve in Manhattan? Or no?
Well,
that was a Batman movie.
It says right
Gotham.
here. There's other areas where we store stuff.
Yeah.
Other large quantities of U.S. gold are stored at the Denver Mint and West Point Mint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Anything in there about UFOs?
Nope.
Or JFK?
Now, more on geography because it's I love it, and we learn a lot. Now, Krista Wing wrote us yesterday, and I made the mistake of saying she was from Eastern Maryland. She is not. She's from Western Maryland. There's a big difference.
Glad we cleared that up.
Yes. Right across the river.
I'd
So
like to
can
clear
she
it up.
smell D.C. from her front porch?
It's unlike me to send 2 emails in a 24-hour period, but I simply had to make some comments after listening to today's show. First of all, you mentioned while reading my email that I am in Eastern Maryland. While it may seem like a trivial detail, I have to point out that I'm actually in Western Maryland. The eastern portion of the state, the coastline, is home to places like Ocean City and is not far from Annapolis, our capital city, and home of the U.S. Naval Academy. The east also appeals to water dwellers, as the Chesapeake Bay offers beautiful places to sail and fish. Not far from the eastern shore, you'll find Fort McHenry, Francis Scott Key's Star-Spangled Banner, as well as cities like Baltimore and Washington, D.C. You know, those places where you'll find the world's tallest buildings. I have no doubt that in your travels while broadcasting, while writing, you flew into airports here and watched games at RFK or Oriole Stadium many times. In contrast, if you Google Western Maryland, you'll find that I am from the portion of the state that boasts mountainous terrain, rural nature, and Appalachian cultural influences. I am closer to West Virginia than I am to the Atlantic Ocean. And I live near the spot where a person can occupy 3 states at once: Maryland, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Western Maryland is known for being the starting point of the National Road, Route 40, where George Washington once called his headquarters. We are about an hour and a half from the Civil War's Antietam National Battlefield, which is known for being the bloodiest day in American history. Within 2 hours, I can be in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where Lincoln gave his famous address. I also live about an hour from Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, which is an extraordinary piece of architecture nestled into a mountain and waterfalls. We are known throughout the west of Maryland as the country, the place where they get all the snow. We are rarely mentioned on the news or by the national media, with the exception of when we get extraordinary weather events. During Hurricane Sandy, when I lived in Accident, Maryland, yes, that's a town, we received 30 inches of snow in 24 hours and went without electricity for 2 weeks. Likewise, we were on ABC's newscast with David Muir 2 weeks ago due to devastating flooding. Regardless, I do know that you'll not likely find yourself in this part of the country, and if you do, it will be, no doubt, unintentional. However, after this correspondence, you may be able to recognize that there is a distinction when discussing the geographic portions of Maryland. So when you all want to come visit and stay away from the tall buildings, On another note regarding rural knowledge, you don't know diddly about corn when you asked whether or not Kenny could just freeze corns. Stick to broadcasting, Joe. All right.
I will agree. Remind me the emailer's name again.
This is Kristen.
Kristen is correct.
Krista.
Because I made the
Krista.
drive West Virginia through Virginia down to Charlotte. That is some stunning scenery. That's very cool.
I've
She
done
said
all
that
those states numerous times. It's
isn't it-
fantastic.
It's so great. Yeah.
Yep. it
And
is.
Uncle Kenny gave me the greatest piece of advice. Make sure you got a full tank of gas when you drive through parts.
Very interesting state. They seceded from the South during the Civil War. They said, "No, you guys, you're idiots.
Which
We're
state
moving
was
north." West Virginia.
West Virginia.
And they separated from regular Virginia.
How about this, too?
Was Maryland in the Confederacy?
Maryland.
Maryland was in the
sorry.
Union, wasn't it?
Maryland
Why
was
don't you
a
look it
union.
up? Why don't you look it up?
Well,
somewhere?
No,
Was
they
it-
were a union, and
Yeah.
Virginia was the northernmost southern state.
Because Fort Sumter is what was attacked by the Confederacy, and that is in Maryland, I believe.
That's right.
what
Yeah.
started the war, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Maryland, I looked this up, Joe. Maryland has the same population as about Ramsey County.
Whoops. Fort
The whole
Sumter's in
state?
South
Yeah.
Carolina.
What now?
Fort Sumter's in South Carolina.
That's
Well,
right,
what port
Joe.
is it?
It's over by St. Cloud.
It's up there.
John,
let's
what
not
port are we
completely
thinking of?
screw this up.
I don't have any idea.
Yeah,
looking it up,
let's
I
back up the
Maryland
tape and
was
erase everything.
in the Union states in the American Civil War.
Thank you.
Maryland is listed.
Thank you. I wonder if Krista ever would have a comment
We're
on
so fun.
the only movie that I thought came close to really being a frightening movie, because I don't believe you could make a frightening movie.
I know. Hold on. The Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, which if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that Western Maryland?
Oh, was it really? I did not know that.
Well, it wasn't.
I got you.
I mean, it could have been anywhere. It was a sound set. But I mean, it was a woods.
Could have been like
Could
in
have been the woods.
Waterville.
Yeah. I have a. I said yesterday.
You're right. It was the Black Hills near Burkittsville, Maryland.
Mm-hmm. And isn't Camp David up there somewhere?
All right, let me look.
Now, we're not
I'm
supposed
out.
to know where Camp David is.
Yeah.
I think this is a fun game, though.
It's not a game.
Okay.
It's a 125-acre country retreat for the President of the
It's
United
in the
States.
state of Maryland, I
It lies in the wooded hills of Catoctin Mountain Park in
That's a long
Frederick
word.
County, Maryland.
Yes, it does.
It nailed it.
Yeah.
Did you not do any show prep today? Well, what's going on here? You want me to help
Let's
you out?
move
I got a
on
bunch
to
of-
West Virginia.
Town ball, here we go.
I've got some interesting stuff.
I'm building up to something. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Because, honest to God.
Well, it kind of got away from you
It
early,
did.
Joe.
It did.
Usually it's about an hour from now when it gets away from you.
Yesterday, I'm already going back on something I vowed.
Uh-oh.
Yesterday, I said we should stop talking about these trans controversies because there's not much we can do about it. But it's interesting to note that the Champlin Park pitcher, Marissa Rothenberger, pitched 2 games yesterday, won both of them, and her club is going to be in the state finals of Class 4A, the tournament championship tomorrow, 9 a.m. against Bloomington Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I noted yesterday that. Well, here let me provide maybe a ray of hope. It's been very interesting for me the last 3 days to observe women in my inner circle of life, all of whom have daughters. 3 of those daughters who play. One plays high school softball. 2 are still in grade school and playing grade school softball. And I haven't been speaking much. I've just listened.
Okay.
And it's been very interesting to me to realize how little they understand the mystery, how little they've paid attention. They clearly have not attended any classes at the University of Garage Logic. What we have here with this pitcher for Champlin Park, particularly as it strikes the mothers of female softball players, is what we call the rubber hitting the road. You are seeing, ladies, you are seeing an example of what happens when the American public, through apathy, has let the political class be turned over to activists. You haven't been paying attention. You've all had good lives. You've all been educated. And I'm saying none of this with anger or indictment.
Right.
I'm just saying you've had great lives. In fact, all three of the women I'm thinking about were educated pre-failed academy, in my estimation. They're raising wonderful, smart kids. But when it comes to the mystery, you don't have a clue as to what's happening. You don't have a clue that Minnesota has become culturally and politically destroyed. You all dutifully recoil in horror at anything Trump says or does, and that's an understandable conclusion for many people to reach about Trump. But you don't feel those same feelings about Walz, Keith Ellison, the two mayors in the Twin Cities, the legislature, the courts. Yes?
Why? I don't understand why.
Because they have had it. We're a spoiled American populace. We haven't paid attention. They have jobs. They have enough money to buy their groceries and have a car and a roof over their heads, and everything seems fine.
Is it the simple philosophy of good times create weak men? That old saying?
Well, I don't know, but I'm trying to stay within my lane here. So now comes along what outrages you, this tall transgender female pitching for Champlin Park, and you realize, well, that's unfair. Where's Title IX? How can this be? Why don't the parents do something? I think there should be a protest. What's happening? Yes, hello, you're just waking up to what's happened to the state. The President of the United States has ordered that this should not happen, and you have an Attorney General and a President, Attorney General, a Governor, and a legislature who's defying the national order and will continue to. Walz has doubled down on his defending of trans children and trans athletes. Yes, Kenny?
I can, and I was stunned to learn this, and maybe it was yesterday or the day before, because this Title IX thing has really got me confused. Why with Title IX are we allowing this? The trans community, if you will, are embracing Title IX and saying that they are a part of it, and Title IX represents them. And we're seeing a lot of that on the left side of the aisle, which was a learning moment for me, that's for sure.
Here's Walz's quote from a DFL gathering in California over last weekend. I'm just going to say it. Shame on any of us who throws a trans child under the bus for thinking they're going to get elected. That child deserves our support. Don't worry about the pollsters calling it distractions, because we need to be the party of human dignity. All right. And I hope people from Euphoria who are listening in Liberal Lakes and Diversityville understand I'm not attempting to denigrate a trans child. What I'm saying is that activists run politics now. Activists don't care that your sidewalk is buckled or your street light just got ripped off of 40 pounds of copper and your street is dark. That's not why they're there. They're there to completely reinvent the country you completely continue to believe you're living in while it's falling apart under your feet because you've paid zero attention. Zero attention.
Yeah.
The Egan parents, corroborate this for me, Rook, because you have a relative there. The Egan parents and players were informed before losing to Champlin Park yesterday. Mom's the word. You're not going to say anything. Don't make this political. Don't bring it up.
They were told not to talk about it and were never asked how we felt or how the girls felt. It was the big elephant in the room.
It has become the Mysterian orthodoxy that trans females are female.
But they're not.
Exactly.
Trans females are female.
Paraphrasing you just said something moments ago that the country is falling apart because you, referring to the left, paid zero attention. So
No,
is
I didn't mean the left. Meaning the average St. Paulite or Minneapolitan, the average Minnesotan, left or right. They haven't been paying attention.
All right, you cleared it up. Thank you.
And now you wake up to this, and suddenly you're saying to yourself, I even had one woman who has analyzed the physique of this young...
tall and skinny.
Well, she doesn't have hips. That's an advantage in softball, was her take on that.
Well, I was at a...
Well, hello, where have you been, young lady?
I was at an event last night, and some guys were talking about that. And the fact that she's taller and has a bigger hands give her a distinct advantage in throwing that ball.
And a wider wingspan.
Right.
Okay, we get all that, but I'm also understanding that Egan got hits off her.
7 hits, I believe.
Well, what the hell? They could have won the game, maybe.
Run the bases better.
I think wasn't her second game? Didn't they win 3-2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Other
They
teams
walk
scored
off
2
single in the
runs.
bottom of the 7th inning. Yep. Because I believe White Bear Lake, and I was
that
trying
was
to
the
confirm
White
it.
Bear game?
Yes, and I'm trying to confirm it, but I believe White Bear Lake sent out something similar to the one that Rook's relatives got in Egan.
See, we're all supposed to bow down now to the
To this,
orthodoxy
yes.
created by the people you've elected because you haven't paying attention to who you elected. You haven't paid attention into finding proper candidates. You haven't done anything. The reason Marissa Rothenberger is pitching for Champlin Park is because of political and cultural activism. There's no other explanation.
And that is why Trump got elected.
Probably. That's one of the reasons. But he's hung up on gold. He doesn't know about gold.
Find that gold.
Well, he's weighed in on this, and specifically Minnesota.
Yeah, he had comments about Governor Walz yesterday.
Minnesota is completely defiant of any idea that Minnesota would take any steps to prevent a trans athlete from playing in women's sports.
What's
Minnesota will
interesting-
not do that.
What's interesting and frustrating to me is that they act like they're speaking for the lot of us, or
Right.
for all of Minnesota.
And now I'll take it even further. You can poke holes in it. I'm sure it's pokeable. Where does the ideology come from? Where has the activism come from that insists a male can become a female and vice versa? I have the answer.
Please tell me.
Well, I have my answer.
Okay.
My
All right.
answer is, again, the ideology at the burning center of the mystery is that we don't like America. Its creation was flawed. The founders were males. They were white. Everything they created is an affectation that we challenge. Laws are being challenged. Rules are being challenged. Everything is being challenged because they're laying it at the feet of white powdered wig fellows in a hotel room in Philadelphia, and they scoff at that. They mock that. It wasn't fair enough. It didn't take into account that we want to live this way and we want to live that way. And we are here to deconstruct the United States, and along with it, we'll take down the Constitution if we have to. And now we're in a real weird space because Trump has come along, and he's the opposite of that, but he's doing his own damage to the Constitution. So we are in a real between a rock and a hard place here. Between a rock and a hard place. But it's the left that has brought you Marissa what's her name? Rothenberger. Mm-hmm. I almost said Goldfinger. Yeah.
Hey, if you don't like America, then you can get it.
It's the leftist ideologies that have brought you Marissa Goldfarber. What
You
the
almost
hell?
said it again.
I almost did.
Farber?
She has a brother named Oric.
It's pretty difficult to hit a home run in softball. Marissa was up first in the bottom of the 7th, hit a double that hit the top of the fence and almost went over for a home run. She was the winning run.
Okay, Scott out in Montana has an idea.
Oh,
If you're going to play a team with a dominant trans athlete on it, shouldn't you be allowed to have one male on your team?
Yeah, I suggested that yesterday. Just grab some dude off the high school baseball team.
But now Reavers will weigh in to further confuse matters.
Yes, I agree with you and Scott completely, and Kenny completely in theory. The problem is, as I mentioned, a bunch of us in high school tried to hit fast pitch and we failed miserably. It's the arm angle, it's the swing, it's completely different.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Oh God, no! And plus, they're throwing it from a much closer distance.
I would probably cry. Seriously, I would just probably start crying.
So you mean to tell me?
Check this
I'm
out.
not saying it can't be done.
Okay,
yeah,
but there's got to be some good high school male baseball players who could hit a softball.
In fact, I was talking to somebody over this past weekend that I think it's only club now, but boys fast pitch might become a thing in varsity sports.
Now, the reason I think this is plausible is because the ideology forced upon us by the left is saying, well, what difference does it make? We're all the same. Okay, Bloomington Jefferson, show up tomorrow with a 6'5" junior from your baseball team and let him play first base and bat cleanup.
Right.
End of story. We're all the same.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Aren't we all the same?
No, we're not.
Have we faced this in this state with basketball yet? High school basketball?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't believe so.
Reavers, did you have any gals playing boys sports when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, no, but someone in my family was on a wrestling team in which they had to face a female wrestler in high school.
But did so willingly, correct?
Right,
yeah.
right. I've always been aware of gals like maybe on the high school baseball team or
Hockey,
the kicker on the football, et cetera, et cetera. But I've never we're in a new era.
I think it started with what was the movie? Sinbad. Kathy Ireland was the kicker.
Okay.
Necessary
Come on,
Roughness.
Yes.
Well,
It's break time.
Don't do that.
What about the donkey? Oh,
Gus.
Disney movie. Gus was a donkey.
you
Was
were
a
doing,
kicker.
Joe, you were doing so good.
I
buddy.
was. I had a good thing.
You really had a good
Ready,
grasp
Gus?
there.
Oh,
Train crash happened then.
Yeah.
Why don't you both shut up?
He kicked the field goal 50 yards. This is before the New Orleans Saints guy. Who was that guy with Dempsey?
You're on your own,
Dempsey.
Suchi,
Yes.
boy. Suchi, you're on your own.
This Gus good.
Get ready to ride into spring. Get out there.
Hey.
Both of you shut up.
Hey.
Get out to EcoFun in Forest Lake / Columbus on Highway 97, immediately west of 35. Electric bike capital of the world. Off-road electric bikes, on-road electric bikes, great electric bikes for merely cruising the parkway and going around the lakes. And they are really the answer, and they got a great parking lot at EcoFun. Take the electric bike you've picked out on the show floor, all pre-tariff pricing. Get it outside, and Kaylin will help you adjust everything so when you leave there, it's ready to go for the entire season. And it's not just electric bike, it's motorcycles and scooters and youth recreational equipment and jet skis and side-by-sides and helmets and apparel and a great service department. It is really a fun store. I'm looking at a Recon Explorer mountain electric bike. I'm looking at Scoot Star electric bikes that have neat headlights on them, like an old motorcycle. They are really cool. It's EcoFun in Forest Lake / Columbus. It's just west of 35 on Highway 97, down in Burnsville. EcoFun on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42, and a great website at ecofunmotorsports.com.
Reavers here once again for my guy, Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Well, sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? Well, Mr. Money Talk is going to be able to sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute, no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
See, in podcasting, we don't live in a free country. If this was a free country, right now, Reavers would be playing Jerry Was a Race Car Driver by Primus, which is a wonderful, wonderful song. And it would fit here perfectly because it's the 2025 Summer of Cylinders at Garage Logic. And it's going to be a celebration of cylinders at Cedar Lake Speedway this summer. GLers, you're all invited to a big, big party July 12th. That's a Saturday at Cedar Lake Speedway. Now, in my opinion, I've been around, I've been to a few. Cedar Lake Speedway, one of the best dirt tracks in the country. You could call it the gold standard. It's the track I compare all other tracks to. And the Saturday night show at CLS, one of the best. They've got great classes, late model, modified, B mods. They even have sprint cars, and you are going to love the sprint cars. My goodness, they are so fast. So here's what's going to happen on the 12th. We're going to have a British car show. It starts around noon. You don't have to get there right away. It runs all afternoon until 5, 6 o'clock. It's absolutely free to the general public and GLers. Now, GLers, you get to stick around for the evening show absolutely free, and the whole gang is going to be there. We're not doing a show. We're just hanging out and bending your elbows and drinking wobble pops and having a good time. So you're going to save yourself $25 there. If you're a council member, we've got a special little section, a little party section for you, where I'm going to hang out with you guys. The entire program, the race program, runs 6 p.m. to right around 10 or so. And you know what I haven't mentioned so far? And I've been trying to get Joe to do this. Cedar Lake Speedway has a two-seater, a late model two-seater, and they take spectators out for rides, and this driver puts his foot down and runs it right up against the wall, full slide jobs in the corner. It's the coolest thing ever. And I think with enough, I've already got the initial no from Such, but I think with enough encouragement, we could get him in there. What do you think, Joe?
No.
Oh, we got the second no.
Second no is never good. Feel free to join us, GLers. It's Saturday, July 12th. Meanwhile, check out the website, cedarlakespeedway.com.
To finish the thought that possibly it's a ray of hope that so many otherwise not paying attention people are suddenly astonished that their kids are going to be facing males in school sports. Maybe they'll realize that it's important for them to become active. Well, the only way to do it is politically. This Marissa Rothenberger is pitching because of political action and a cultural revolution brought about by the ideologues who continue to call themselves the DFL. They're not really the DFL anymore. Just a quick example. There are 4 announced candidates for a city council seat in St. Paul, Ward 4.
Mm-hmm.
And if any one of 3 of them win, it's just going to be more of the same cultural revolution because none of them have worked. None of them have led what you might even consider a conventional American life. They're activists. Mm-hmm. They're activists. Mm-hmm. One of whom is not. Carolyn Will.
Okay.
And I'm really hesitant to talk about her because I know her. So that would be the kiss of death if I mention that. But that's the only one of the 4 who should win. It shouldn't even be a contest. She's got a family. She's a homeowner. She has a job. She cares about the city. On and on and on and on. She cares that your sidewalk would be buckled. She doesn't care if Marissa Rothenberger plays against your kid.
Those are all good reasons why she won't win.
Well, that's pathetic. And that's what needs to be turned around by some of these women I'm talking about who are alarmed, one of whom lives in Ward 4. Well, are you going to put your money where your mouth is, kid, and get out and knock on doors and say we need a council person that actually represents the needs and necessities of the taxpaying citizens of St. Paul?
Why can't we get more? Where are the other Carolyn Wills? Why can't we get more? Why do these others show up?
We have let it go. I've been talking about it for a week. We have apathetically just let it go. No one cares. They won't care till it's gone.
It's almost gone.
Till it's gone. Because the people we elect they do not have your interests at heart. They only have their own and their little fiefdoms that they cater to. It has nothing to do with the streetlights don't work and we need to fix that water main and we got to do this. And no, it has nothing to do with that. Yesterday I said, it really irritates me, maybe it was 2 days ago, when people use the word right at the end of a sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, I admit it drives me crazy. Okay. Yeah. Well, and that's just not only me. Here's Kelly, who weighs in, who wants to link between the use of the word right and the mystery.
Okay.
This is an emailer up my alley.
Okay. All right. This should be fun.
Hello, Mayor. Regarding yesterday's topic, and this was dated yesterday, so it must have been Tuesday when I said I didn't like the word right. Regarding yesterday's topic of using the interrogative tag word right at the end of sentences, while you are certainly right, pun intended, to be annoyed by this, I think you need to give it deeper thought about why it annoys you and see the link between this and the mystery. Traditionally, when somebody makes a declarative statement, that is, it is raining or Paul needs to sleep, then tags it with the word right, this expresses a need to verify that piece of information, such as when you're trying to verify the number of cylinders a neighbor really has. Kenny, you have 98 cylinders, right?
I know, right?
I know. However, the current usage of tags reflects much more. Tagging now shows a speaker's ambivalence, doubt, uncommittedness, or reservation about his own idea. In other words, it's a correct use of the word right to say, Kenny, you got 8 cylinders, right? That's correct. A correct use.
Yeah.
The speaker is in my use, the one that irritates me, the speaker is unsure of himself and seeks approval or comfort from the receiver.
See, there's 2 different ways of using it here, but please continue.
I think Trump is mean, right? Thus, the link between right and the nature of the world is this. People are no longer sure of anything or even themselves. They are uncertain, tepid, timid, non-committal, and are too worried about what others think of them and their opinions. They can't commit to a relationship, a contract, a career, or even their gender. So when speaking, they soften their statements with the word right to give themselves a way to wiggle out and not be tied to anything certain. It allows them to hide the appearance of offense or less than expectedness. This is similar to how today's generation uptalks their way through an explanation about why they didn't do their homework, why they got fired from work, or what happened last week at the recycling center. The matter of the word right goes far beyond being annoying. Right is a sign of our inability to think, enunciate clear ideas, espouse principles, or relate to others. Right is wrong. A GLer would never say, good luck, right?
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly Wing. I appreciate the deep thinking from an advanced class at the University of Garage Logic.
Kelly's just covering one half of the right issue, because right is also another way of saying yes. Matthew, today is the hottest day I've... No, it would be something like... Oh my God! It's so hot today. No, what would be a?
It's hot today, isn't it? Right?
I know, right?
No, I know. Right is different. That's different,
but equally annoying.
I know right.
You got 100% on the test, right?
Stop. I know right is the equivalent of using the word like. It's just Valley Girl talk. It just slipped into the lexicon.
Okay,
the
what
right
about...
we're talking about is, look, the Jews are not really opening the supply lines into Gaza, right?
Right.
And then you go on. It's this guy's right or this gal, whatever Kelly is. It's an inability to have an opinion you're so confident of you don't need to say the word
You're
right.
looking for validation.
What about this one? Joe, you're coming up this weekend, right? Or no?
That's a valid reason. That's a valid use.
You didn't hear me. Or no.
Or no.
Or no.
Now you're introducing a new ridiculous phrase.
Take and go.
You know what the one that drives me nuts is all the kids do it, and they do it so much that now I'm doing it, and even though I hate it, they always start sentences with, I feel. Or I mean. Mm-hmm. You ask them a question, and it's like, I mean.
I know what other word really bothers you.
I feel like it could be different,
You also hate literally.
Literally.
It would be like if I gave my soliloquy on this Marissa Rothenberger situation and I kept putting rights at the end of each sentence.
You know what we need to do here? Just let it go. We need to let it go.
I was going to let it go, Kenny, until I got the fantastic email.
Right?
Because no. See, now you're really alerting me to what this is. The use of the word follows declarations, not questions. It follows declarations. For example, Ukraine probably does not have enough ordnance to counter that wouldn't be it.
How about this one? I didn't think that speech was ever going to end. And the person he's talking to, right?
No, that isn't it either.
There's two ways of using right. And they're both wrong.
Now, every time Governor Cockwomble gets on stage and talks about the trans issue, he's always ready to take the one side of the issue, right? There, that's how it's used.
But what about responding? Hey, Joe, 2 plus 2
usually you're
is
talking
4.
to an interviewer, and there's nothing to respond to.
But in your case, in that situation, Matt, right would be correct.
Confirming.
I was going to say right would be right. Right would be correct.
How about this? We should take a break, right?
I know, right?
No, you would just say, we should take a break, and I would say,
I mean, I feel like we should take a break, right?
No, it'd be Chris would say, we're taking a break, right?
No,
that'd be the wrong way to do it.
That would be okay.
There's too many language rules in Garage
If you were
Logic.
explaining what a break was, and then threw in the word right, that's the irritating part.
A break is when this show pause.
My only
when we
complaint,
pause, we have to get some commercial announcements in. You understand that, right?
My complaint about this town we live in, this fake town we live in, too many language laws.
Not really.
There's too many.
We're defending the language.
I mean, I can see a sign on the edge of town. No soliciting, canvassing, using the word right, and then all the other words you don't like.
We're trying to defend the great English language.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I hate? When somebody
that?
goes, they go, so time to take a break, Chris, right? When they start a sentence with so.
Yeah. There's a lot of that's a Minnesota thing.
So
why don't you take a break? You don't look at me.
Well, I'm just waiting for this show to pause so I can talk to you about the fine folks at We Are Nuts. Look at that glorious photo right there on the YouTube channel. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter whether you're watching from the comfort of your living room, hosting a backyard watch party, or gathering with friends at your favorite local sports restaurant. We Are Nuts has the taste that you need. From their famous toffee nuts, perfectly seasoned jumbo cashews, fancy deluxe mixed nuts, or crowd favorite hokey pokey caramel corn. Let me tell you something right now about hokey pokey caramel corn. I brought a bag of that stuff to a youth baseball game. It was devoured in less than 2 minutes. It's really good, right? We Are Nuts brings the hometown flavor that makes every sports moment better. Here's the deal. They are locally owned, expertly crafted, and always packed with taste. We Are Nuts is the go-to snack choice for everyone, and you can find them online right now at wearenutsmn.com or at your favorite local retailer, which includes our good buddies at Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. They do carry an entire collection of We Are Nuts products inside their store, and more information to come on that as well. But you can find them online and place your order at wearenutsmn.com. So happy to have them right here in Garage Logic.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
I mean, if you want the best lawn on the block,
I know, right?
You've got to go with ProfessionalTurf.com, right? They're a Minnesota lawn care company. They've been at it since '82. And I think today is the second to last day that you're going to hear the words ProfessionalTurf.com on our air until next March. That's usually how it goes. The spring push is about over. And if you're already a Pro Turf customer, and I love you GLers that have been sending me photos of your yarn, I call it a lawn porn because these lawns are so thick and so luscious and so lovely, and it's all due to ProfessionalTurf.com. All you have to do is water and mow. Pro Turf handles the rest. And we're talking no weeds, no broadleaf weeds, none of that nonsense, just a thick, luscious lawn. And you log on to ProfessionalTurf.com, sign up for the free in-person estimate. They come out, take a look around, and go, yep, you need this there, and that over there. And the next thing you know, you've got the best lawn on the block. Check them out. Get that dog track of yours fixed up. Let's go here. ProfessionalTurf.com.
Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joel.
Johnny.
So, Professional Turf has been doing mine for 3 years, and it looks great. All right, let's get to the news.
Who's that brought to you by?
I was just going to do that, Chris.
I just didn't want you to forget.
Okay, Mr.
Right?
Royce. This is brought to you by North American Banking Company. The news, as always. Attorneys will deliver closing arguments today in the jury trial against 29-year-old Derek Thompson, accused of killing 5 women in a Minneapolis crash on June 16, 2023. A surprise in the case yesterday. Thompson's only defense so far was that his brother, DeMarco Thompson, had been driving the Cadillac Escalade when it hit the Honda Civic, killing the women. But in court yesterday, DeMarco testified Derek Thompson was the driver. Judge Carolina Lamas had signed an order compelling DeMarco Thompson to testify after his attorney, Frederick Getz, indicated DeMarco would invoke the Fifth Amendment right to not testify. Well, DeMarco did not want to potentially implicate himself in crimes related to drugs and a gun found inside the car, which is the reason that he was going to plead the Fifth. But Assistant Hennepin County Attorney James Hanneman then informed Lamas that the state would grant DeMarco immunity from prosecution for any drug or weapon charges in order to compel his testimony. All they wanted him to address was whether he was driving the Escalade. The judge noted that typically the state would grant that immunity up front, but instead it was offered inside the courtroom moments before DeMarco was to testify. Lamas said before signing the order it would be consistent with the public interest to testify in the trial. Once attorneys have finished delivering their closing arguments today, the case goes to jurors for deliberation. Thompson, the elder Thompson, has already been found guilty on federal charges related to guns and drugs found inside the SUV.
Mary must be going nuts trying to figure out how to get him back on the street.
So you're an attorney, correct?
I am.
Tell me why the defense took this approach with introducing the brother when he so obviously wasn't there. So his hat was there. Big deal.
Because they'll try anything.
Including throwing the defendant's brother under
Right.
the bus.
Right.
I thought that was weird.
That's a weird grasp at straws.
Well, that's just it. When John was reading the story, I never recall even a passenger in his vehicle.
No, there wasn't a passenger in his vehicle.
Okay.
And today, when I read it, was the first time I had heard that they were trying this approach.
Yeah, it's complete desperation because he knows he's going away for the rest of his life.
I think bravado there might be a family trait.
Yeah. I had heard earlier that was their defense. They were going to say the brother was driving.
Wow.
But I was not aware how
And then
that
the brother's going,
figured.
wait a minute, hold up.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't going to testify.
Right.
But basically the judge signed an order saying he won't be charged with anything else, like the drugs, etc.
Okay, then I'll tell you I wasn't driving.
Exactly. The recreational cannabis program in Minnesota could end up bringing in millions of tax dollars for the state if it ever gets off the ground. On Thursday, today, the state is taking a key step toward handing out the first licenses. The lottery began at 11, and it first will give retail sales to social equity applicants. That group represents people of color, veterans, and people who have been convicted of low-level marijuana offenses. Although license numbers will be drawn, the names and addresses of applicants will not be publicly posted today. About 200 applications have already been approved, so this is a big step for some of those businesses. As of now, there's no date yet for when the businesses will start selling, but today marks a big step in that direction. Eric Traubel is the interim director of the Office of Cannabis Management. He says we'll see retail sales in adult use cannabis well in advance of 2026, but how many and where they are within the state really comes down to the individual license and how far along they are in the process. The Office of Cannabis Management will also hold a separate general lottery for licenses of businesses hoping to grow, move, manufacture, and sell the product.
You know what? Your sidewalk buckled because of climate change, and your street light went dark because it was robbed by people victimized by white supremacy.
You nailed it. I'd vote for you. Is that going to be your platform?
Can I be a council member?
You can get an amen.
A Homeland Security investigation special agent for Minnesota has been charged with allegedly producing child pornography. Special Agent Timothy Ryan Gregg was charged with the production of child pornography, according to Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson. The 51-year-old Gregg of Eagan is accused of trying to coerce and entice a minor to take part in sexually explicit conduct with the intention of producing child pornography. Records say the father of the minor found multiple sexually explicit photos and videos on the minor's phone. The photos and videos show the minor victim and an older person, later identified as Gregg, engaging in sexually explicit activity. Gregg is a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations and a task force officer with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
You know, the priest checked into the motel. And
Is this a true story?
This is a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was told he saw on the sign, you know, free TV and porn on the TV. And he wasn't interested in any of that. He needed a place to sleep. And so he said to the desk clerk, I assume the porn is disabled. And the guy said, no, it's regular porn, you sick bleep.
Boom!
Hey-o! Hey now!
It's not that midget stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what made me think of that. I guess John talking about that creep with the FBI.
Moving right along, then, it was just about a month ago when legislative leaders and the governor sounded confident that they could pass a state budget into law by May 19th. The deadline during
moving
the
right along.
Yeah.
We should have that as a soundbite. Just
Moving
drop
right
that in. Moving right along.
2 weeks ago, after that deadline came and went, they then sounded optimistic that a one-day special session could be held within just a few days. Well, fast forward to now, there was hope voiced for a special session either Wednesday or Thursday, but now they're saying maybe, just maybe, Saturday or Monday.
John, nobody's... Chris,
I know that. Why am I even reading this damn story?
That on the air.
Just get a hold of yourself.
I didn't swear.
I know.
It's an old classic.
I've never heard that before.
That's regular, you sick.
The latest so-called deadline for a special session is Monday, when thousands of additional state workers will get notices of potential layoffs if there's a partial government shutdown. Right now, both sides saying maybe this weekend. So,
John, how many deadlines have they had?
Well, if you would have been listening to the story I just read.
Hear the dude's story?
Instead of doing a stand-up routine.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
There was 2 deadlines already, and now there's another deadline. So this will be the third one.
They don't mean anything. We can make up our own rules.
Yeah, well, this one is a little matters a little more only because layoff notices will go out.
Where's Cockwomble? Is he doing anything about this?
Yeah, he's been involved in all the negotiations every night. In fact, I skipped over this part because, as Kenny said, nobody's listening. He says, after the meeting yesterday, I'm obligated by state contracts to send out 28,000 potential layoff notices. I think that causes great uncertainty for folks. I think it adds unnecessary chaos. So he's part of the negotiations with the leaders, Democratic and Republican.
I see.
Why don't we Why don't we take a quick break here? Joe can think of some more jokes while we hear from our friend.
No, I'm not
Chris
doing an
Reavers.
ad right now. We're just going to go to break, Johnny Heidt.
Scooney's here. That's Mike Schoonover to us because it's Positive Thursday already. And Positive Thursday is always brought to us by Schoonover Body Works and Auto Care. They're in Shoreview, 1060 County Road E. Happy Positive Thursday. Mike, how are you?
I'm good, Kenny. Anytime I get to talk to you, you make me smile and I get to laugh.
Stop being ridiculous. We've got serious things to talk about here. And number one is my shame. I can't be the only person in the Twin Cities, or for that matter, in America, that went 9 years without replacing the cabin air filter in my vehicle. Tell me I'm not the only one, Mike. Come on.
Kenny, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. Yeah, you should see some of these that we pull out of cars. It's it's a petri dish that's in your vehicle is what it is.
Nobody thinks of this. We always think of, engine air filters, oil filters, but nobody thinks of cabin air filters. Come on.
Well, it's on the checklist. So when you go and have it, when you're not doing it yourself or you're not taking it to one of these fly-by-night places, you got a legitimate mechanic who's going through the steps, the 28 point maintenance check. That's on the list. So it gets checked.
So we're also making plans, you, me, and the good folks in your employ to put new brakes on that truck all the way around. And hopefully we're going to get that handled before the end of June. But I'm kind of wondering what else should a GLer ask you guys to do if you're, bringing it in for an oil change or a new set of tires. What else do we want you to look at?
Well, I think the important thing is just to bring it in and have it checked out, because we'll go through it and we'll check things. And Quinn was just talking to a customer here this morning about, her brakes are close, but they're just on watch. We don't have to do anything with them yet. So it's just, sit back, relax, let us take care of it. We'll let you know what you need to do and let you know what should be done in, within the next 6-8 months, whatever it is.
What I like about you guys, and last time I was there for that cabin air filter thing, is I asked you guys I gave you a list of things to look at. And speaking of brakes, I think you told me, or it was Quinn, I think, I'm at 10% either in the front or the back and 25% on the other side. And I really, really like that. You just let the customer know what it needs. There's no pressure there. You're not going to guilt us into buying new brakes or new parts if we don't need them. And that's just one of the many things that I love about Schoonover Body Works and Schoonover Auto Works and Body Care and air filters.
Hey, nice work, Joe.
Thanks, Such.
But you know what I'm saying. Come on.
Absolutely. Kenny, we're looking for lifetime relationships. We're a generational business, so that's what we're looking for, and we want to take care of our customers.
So you guys are so good that you're actually my mechanic, and I live 155 miles away. That's how good you guys are. And I know you've got GLers coming down from Duluth and St. Cloud and coming up from Rochester, etc. And that really says a lot about the service that you get at Schoonovers. That's why we truly love you, Mike.
Thanks, Kenny. It means a lot to us. So, we appreciate it.
Well, you've learned a thing or two along the way. 1938, that's how long Schoonover Body Works and Auto Care has been around, and always rated. Do some checking, GLers, and you'll find I'm not BSing you. Always rated as one of the Metro's top shops, the best in the biz, if you ask us, and the official body shop of GL. SchoonoverBodyWorks.com. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, GLers. You guys have a great day.
Woof.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
In national and international news, President Trump spoke today with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, calling it a productive conversation, with both sides agreeing to meet shortly as they seek to stabilize trade negotiations that have broken down in recent weeks. Trump suggested one sticking point, the export of rare earth minerals, which are critical to the U.S. automotive and other industries, had been addressed during the call, although he gave no details. He also said Xi invited him to visit China and that he reciprocated the offer. The conversation was focused almost entirely on trade, according to the president, and they didn't discuss the war in Ukraine or any other global hotspots.
John, 2 quick points about that. You will get a very thorough, in-depth report from Mr. Money Talk at the end of the show today, in which basically Trump just made a phone call to the president of China. Anyway, it's very good. Josh will explain.
Are we being run by China?
That I don't know. But yesterday, President Trump, Joe, also had some words about Governor Tim Walz. Very short clip here.
I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him.
He's a sick puppy.
I think we're going to have to hang on to that one for a while.
Sick puppy fit in with our previous conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Woof. The president also talked yesterday with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He said Putin told him he would have to respond to Ukraine's recent attack, dampening the prospects for any immediate peace between Moscow and Kyiv. Trump posted on Truth Social saying the two leaders spoke on a call that lasted about 1 hour and 15 minutes. They also discussed Iran, with Trump saying the two leaders were in agreement that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. He didn't say in his social media post whether he urged Putin not to launch a retaliatory attack on Ukraine. He's repeatedly called for peace and lamented the loss of lives on both sides. He is meeting today, President Trump that is, with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in Washington.
Yes.
Likely that Russia and Ukraine will be a topic of discussion. Germany announced last month it will expand its support to Ukraine, including a partnership to develop long-range missiles. President Trump signing a travel ban yesterday, preventing nationals from 12 countries from entering the United States and partially restricting entry from 7 others. The order, which cites national security risks, is scheduled to go into effect at 12:01 Eastern Time Monday. Countries whose foreign nationals will be banned are Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen.
Am I supposed to be upset about this? I'm seeing some outrage on the internet.
How come he didn't throw Egypt on there?
I think aren't they listed as an ally of ours?
Well, was this Egyptian nutcase in Boulder that just shot up the Jews?
Well, he doesn't represent.
Molotov cocktailed them.
Do you have that story, John? Evidently, he wanted to kick the whole family out, but now a judge has stepped in and
forbidden him.
Reversed that order.
Won't let him, yeah. No, I don't have the whole story. No.
Is Burma still Burma? You didn't mention Burma.
It's Myanmar.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Kenny, I can answer your question.
Go ahead.
Why is this a bad thing? It's because we all know the reason. He did it, right?
Well, I seem to remember something about Obama doing this, so I went back and started doing some research, and it sounds like when Obama did it, it's not comparable to this, but I still can't convince myself that this is a bad idea. Yeah. At least temporarily.
I don't think it was a bad idea. So I don't know what the reasoning would be behind that.
All right.
The Supreme Court deciding this morning a Catholic charity does not have to pay Wisconsin unemployment taxes. One of a set of religious rights cases the justices are considering this term. The unanimous ruling comes in a case filed by the Catholic Charities Bureau, which says the state violated the First Amendment's religious freedom guarantee when it required the organization to pay the tax while exempting other faith groups. Wisconsin argues the organization has paid the tax for over 50 years and doesn't qualify for an exemption because its day-to-day work doesn't involve religious teachings. Much of the group's funding is from public money, and neither employees nor people getting services have to belong to any faith, according to court papers. Catholic Charities, though, says it qualifies because its disability services are motivated by religious beliefs, and the state shouldn't be making determinations about what work qualifies as religious. It appealed to the Supreme Court after Wisconsin's highest court ruled against it. Wisconsin has said a decision in favor of the charity could open the door to big employers like religiously affiliated hospitals pulling out of the state unemployment system as well. FBI has arrested a co-conspirator in last month's car bombing outside a Palm Springs fertility clinic, with officials saying he provided large quantities of ammonium nitrate to the suspect killed in the blast. 32-year-old Daniel Yong-Yan Park has been charged with conspiracy to manufacture an unregistered device and terrorism. He was arrested at JFK in New York after being detained in Poland on May 30th, according to officials. Park allegedly had fled to Europe 4 days after the bombing happened. A hungry wild elephant. I like elephants. You guys like elephants?
Aren't all wild elephants hungry?
Very pro-elephant.
Hungry wild elephant caused havoc in a grocery store in Thailand on Monday when he just strolled in from a nearby national park and helped himself to the food on the shelves.
That's a boy.
Yeah. So you can do that in Thailand. There's no elephant. You can't do that in St. Paul. The elephants are not allowed in the store.
That's true. There's a ban.
Yeah.
Videos of the incident show the huge male elephant known as Plai Byong Lek briefly stopping in front of the shop located next to a main road near the Kyo Yai National Park.
The main road.
Before he ducked his whole body inside the store.
How'd he get through the door?
Yeah.
He opened it.
Elephant stopped in front of the shop's counter, calmly grabbing and chopping snacks, and did not flinch as the national park workers tried to shoo him away. The elephant later backed out of the shop, still holding a bag of snacks with his trunk. He left little behind except
mud. What was he going to use? His hands?
Right, so fantastic. They weren't peanuts, were they? Please tell me they
No,
were.
there's crackers and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. I'll tell you in a minute. There's some stuff here.
Oh, good stuff. All right, all right.
He left little damage behind, only a bunch of big mud tracks on the floor. In a video posted on social media, Kamploy Kukao, the shop owner, appeared amused as she described the moment the elephant rifled through her shop. She said he ate about 9 bags of sweet rice crackers, a sandwich, and some dried bananas.
Do we have audio of her, I wonder?
Wait, did he get all the food groups in there, John?
He did.
How did he unpackage the rice cakes?
You can do it. You can get them.
He's ripping them with his tusk.
Kamploy said the elephant left without hurting anyone after getting the snacks. Danai, are you ready for this? This is going to be a long one. Sukan Thachanachat, a volunteer park worker familiar with the evidence, said, with the elephant, said Plai Byong Lek, who's about 30 years old, is a familiar sight in the area, and he's been known to enter people's houses.
Why not?
In search of food.
I don't see a secure front door, you know?
Yeah.
Denai said wild elephants in the national park area there have been coming out to the woods.
Shark.
To ransack people's kitchens for many years, but this year he has started seeing them going into more random places to find food. There were an estimated 4,000 wild elephants in Thailand in 2024, according to the Department of Natural Parks, Wildlife, and Plant Conservation.
So, Such, depending on where you go in the world, you either have elephants running wild or cattle. Isn't that India? Cows?
Sure.
Monkeys.
Cows are sacred.
Where was Royce at with the monkeys? Gibraltar? Just the other day, we had a possum on Cedar Avenue. What would be the animal that's running amok in the Twin Cities? Would it be coyotes or turkeys?
Turkeys.
Be turkeys?
Yeah, I would say turkeys. I agree.
Yeah, they're real bastards, too, in the metro. Yeah.
Thank you,
You
John.
know what's wild? When I looked up White Bear Lake to verify the thing we talked about earlier today.
What thing?
That the letter that was sent to the softball families.
Oh, yeah?
The sixth thing that pops down when you search White Bear Lake on Twitter is your deer photo from 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, the one on the ice.
What the hell happened here? It had been ripped to shreds on the frozen lake in White Bear.
We were trying to sell that as a conspiracy, weren't we?
Because it was from your brother, right? Wasn't it from your brother that sent it?
I really wish the farming discussion we had yesterday after the show off the air could have been on the air.
Kenny, I loved it so much, I saved the clip and sent it to both of my brothers.
Oh, good.
Just to get a rise out of them.
Yeah, freeze your corns.
That's right.
Yeah. As soon as Such starts talking farming, we all Well, just sit back.
Let him roll.
Let him go. He's on a roll.
The Germans bomb Pearl
That's
Harbor.
right. Let him go. He's rolling. Thank you.
Hey, let me talk to you about my friends at Hofferman Water and Connecticut. Let me hit the right button first. Hofferman Water and Connecticut is an independent water treatment dealer. Oh, guess who's making the switch? I got confirmation from our gal, Stacy, the GL geologist.
Nice.
She is now going to get connected with the best water treatment system known to man from Hofferman Water and Connecticut. So I connected her with the good people at Hofferman Water. And here's the deal. Do what Stacy did. Get on that schedule. Have them come out for that free water analysis. You do that one of two ways. You call them at 612-895-2440 or visit their website, which is hoffermanwater.com. Either way, you can get on that schedule. They're going to come out, and they're going to give you this thing that's called a water score. And based upon that water score, they're going to give you recommendations on how to improve the quality of your water. And I've done that. Actually, I've done that twice in both my current home and my previous home, and it has made an amazing difference in the quality of my water, and I know it'll do the same thing for you. And it doesn't matter if you're in the market for a water softener, maybe an iron rust and odor filtration system, or a brand new drinking water system, or heck, get them all. What do I care? It's your money. HoffermanWater.com is the place to start and book that appointment, and you can also see every single water treatment system that they have to offer on that website. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them right here on the Garage Logic Podcast.
Quite
Still
some
upset by that.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Guy goes to a funeral and he says,
It's a true story.
yeah, he says to the wife of the deceased, mind if I say a word? And she says, no, go ahead. He says, bargain. She says, thanks. That means a great deal.
I don't get it.
Was that supposed to be funny?
Bargain.
Am I?
Thanks. That means a great deal.
Oh,
Bargain.
okay.
It's like a Leslie Nielsen
All right.
joke.
Yes.
All right.
Well, and Joe was mentioning the elephants. You know, the
Exactly.
elephant. I wonder
Real
if the
belly
elephant
jiggler.
John had been talking to was the same one that ran into the naked guy. You know, when they were at the when they were at the zoo, and he said, "That's great, but can it pick up peanuts?"
You'll recall yesterday the fellow has the carved pencil in his yard.
Yes, sir.
And the mink has been out and about. The fellow calling himself the mink. He's been regularly passing the pencil since it was a tree. He watched it fall, and he watched it get trimmed and painted into the number 2 glory that it is now. The Superman costume last Halloween was a treat. If ever a pencil had an appropriate costume, that would be it. Your intrepid mink about town is staying in town Saturday, and upon hearing of the sharpening via GL, he will attend. Expect a Monday report.
All right.
Also, look at that picture again. There is scaffolding and also a mock-up pencil sharpener, a model of the little rectangular ones for your pencil box. And then I think Kelsey sent me a Carol Evan clip from some time ago where Carol Evan, of course, was on the scene of the pencil and did an interview with the owner and how it came about. And,
Got it.
And what have you. All right. I've got some important emails I have to get
Let's do it.
through here. What's this one? Mayor, I believe it was Kenny who mentioned the possibility of our state requiring masks or lockdowns when there is an air quality alert. When I read the piece in yesterday's paper regarding the smoke from the wildfires, I now understand how someone like Walz keeps getting reelected. The person interviewed stated that we need to
Sorry.
the person interviewed stated we need to treat this like tornadoes, shelter-in-place orders. Whatever happened to common sense? Use your best judgment based on your personal situation. You wonder how some people function without the nanny state telling them what they can or cannot do. That's from Steve. Then I have another one.
Concerning?
Are you done with that?
Yeah, I hit a button on there.
We know.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Best part was we all looked down at our phones to see if
who
it
was
was
that?
us.
Who was that this time?
Greetings from Norway, Flashlight King.
Greetings.
Hail greetings.
Hail.
That
I
wasn't
just
really
wanted to see how you'd react,
Yeah,
and
I was
none of you
confused.
had any ability to react.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Awaiting
I'm
our
answering
flight
a
back to
text,
the
so.
awaiting our flight back to the good old USA after a fantastic trip to Norway, listening to GL episodes at night in our rental motorhome. Our trip was partially inspired by your interview with the traveling Lymans a couple of years ago. They impressed upon us the importance of getting out and seeing some of the big, wide world when we have a chance. Thought you might appreciate a couple of random observations. Roads here are narrow. Some mountain roads along fjords tighten up to one lane. They do try to provide small pull-out areas where possible, but somebody's going to have to back up. Car sightings have been interesting, predominantly BMW, Mercedes, Peugeot, Volkswagen, Tesla, Volvo, Porsche, and once in a while a Skoda. Lots of electric. Kenny, we've only seen 2 pickup trucks the entire time here.
I've noticed that.
And we've been mostly in rural countryside. Also a note for Kenny, we picked up some groceries for our camper and came across cheese and bacon bits in a tube, like toothpaste. Just squeeze it out onto your crackers.
Oh, my God.
I'm having a
Crackers?
bad cartoon bubble.
Never mind
Kenny would just
crackers.
squeeze that into his
Like
mouth.
toothpaste.
Hell yeah.
We spent a fair amount of time visiting some of the amazing stave churches that were built in the Middle Ages. Each is surrounded by a fenced graveyard. While walking through and reading them, we realized that many had the same epitaph, "Tak for alt." Translated, it says, "Thanks for everything." That tells me that the Norwegians from hundreds of years ago were GLers. Good luck and tak for alt, Fred Larson. And then he sent a picture of one of these stave churches, and they are something to behold.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They are beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Isn't that nice?
That's cool.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Right.
Huh?
How come you didn't ask me?
Oh, yeah. Here, how about
That's
you?
cool.
Yeah.
Right.
I did look it up. Kavli Bacon Ost, one of Norway's most popular cheese spreads.
Oh, my God.
Norwegian white cheese and bacon bits.
And you
making
squeeze it out of a tube.
it out of a tube.
Rub it in
stays
your
fresh.
hair and everything.
Wow, what a country.
What a country.
Oh, God, that sounds delicious.
What do you think the best way to travel and see fun stuff is? Just randomly go and wing it and hope for the best? Or plan every little second out and then follow that itinerary to the T for 2 weeks? Which is best, Joe?
I say
That's an interesting question. I think it works both ways.
you plan it out, but you adapt.
Yeah, somewhere in between, I think.
Yeah.
Or you make a checklist. That's what I do on the road trips. I want to see this or I want to see that, but I got no time frame for it.
Yeah.
Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Where are you going, Kenny?
One more note from Kendall Lynn. Just catching up on last week's podcast, and you mentioned people speaking differently in the films from the 1940s.
Say.
That is a learned dialect, which is called the Mid-Atlantic accent. It is still taught in drama schools, Kendall in Duluth and Lubbock, Texas.
All right, big fan.
Oh, interesting.
I see. I like to provide you with these notes that
Little tidbits.
that the GLers fill in for us.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Kenny, for
That's
being
why
thankful.
we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You know what? That doesn't feel right. What I just did. That doesn't feel right.
Saying thank you?
Yeah, that's. I don't think I'm going to do that. That's not.
Only because they come to us
Chastised me before the show.
all the way from the traveling Lymans who have inspired the
I mean,
traveling.
no, stop. I have to even myself up here. Joe, you're such a dink.
All right, I feel
go ahead.
better.
Thank you. No, thank you.
all the
Yeah.
way from the traveling Lymans who have inspired the traveling Larsons to go to Norway.
Mm-hmm.
I love Scandinavian literature. I'm thinking I'd like to go to Scandinavia.
Is it in English?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't think these
Not a
spoke
bad
Scandinavian.
question.
No, man, I know how to read I know how
Well,
to
you were
read.
just doing Norwegian. Thank you. You're all over the board today.
Isn't Sweden about the size of Iowa?
It's not that big.
I'm Swedish.
This is from the traveling Lymans who are in Eden Prairie. On this day,
Not Sweden. Today
On
is
this day.
June 5th today.
well, it was on this day in 1806, John MacDonald, the first European American immigrant to live permanently in Wright County, was born in Maine. In 1847, he moved to St. Anthony and helped build the dam at the falls. He worked in the mills there until July 31, 1852, when he took a land claim in Otsego, where he established a ferry and served as postmaster, county commissioner, and justice of the peace.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Pretty active guy, huh?
He's probably a farmer, too, right? Out in Heidt County?
You'd think so, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Old McDonald.
On this day, I get it. See, I get it
You
now.
beat me to the punch.
That's
June
just
5th.
What's Juna?
1873. A delegation of German Mennonites from Russia arrived in St. Paul to assess the state for settlement. Mennonite settler colonists soon established homesteads around Mountain Lake in Cottonwood County.
Mennonite.
From Russia.
Okay.
German.
On this day,
June 5th.
Where is Cottonwood? Southwest?
Carlton, Carver,
Southeast.
Southwest.
Clay, Clearwater, Cook,
Southwest?
Cottonwood, and Crow
Wyndham.
Wing. I don't know, but it's the second to the last C county. Cottonwood
Okay,
and
thank
Crow
you,
Wing.
Joe. Appreciate that.
I don't know where Cottonwood County is.
She's southwest of
Wyndham.
Mankato, in the Wyndham area.
Where Joey D was the former sports director at the station.
And finally, on this day,
on June 5th,
in 1885, the Western Appeal, later the Appeal, the first Minnesota-published African-American newspaper to gain national readership, premiered under the editorship of Frederick D. Parker. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think the Appeal still exists. Someone would have to verify that, but it won't be
Does
John
the
because he's
Appeal
on the phone.
still exist?
The Western Appeal or the Appeal.
I think he's talking to Larry's doctor who had all of his teeth removed this morning.
Poor Larry.
Well,
Yeah.
that dog ain't eating nothing anymore except hot cereal.
Yep. Nothing but tapioca pudding
That's
for
it.
Larry.
And
Was that the
gruel.
doc,
You're talking
John?
about my dog?
Was that the
Yes.
doc?
Was that?
Yeah. He's they took the 3 worst, and they're going to do the rest in about a month and a half because
How's Larry doing? Is he high AF right now?
Yeah, she said he's. I said, should I pick him up at 4 like you told me to? And she goes, the way he's looking, you might want to wait till about 5 or so. So
Larry zonked, huh?
Larry is
My
zonked.
favorite part of Larry's life and existence was when he was part of the show where when there'd be a pause, we could hear him snoring in the
Snoring,
background.
Yeah, he had apnea.
He doesn't get to come down here anymore because of that. I feel bad when we do the show.
On this day,
As the 20th century progressed, the Appeal was renamed, slowly got smaller, and closed its regional offices. Its last regional office, Chicago, closed in 1913. The Appeal continued publication in St. Paul, and Adams remained its editor until his death in 1922. Adams' son, John Jr., took over the Appeal and hired a young graduate, Roy Wilkins, as editor in 1923.
Really?
The newspaper struggled and was sold to a competitor, the Northwestern Bulletin. Later that year, the two papers merged and went out of business in
2025.
Is
1925.
1925?
1925.
Is the Strip getting ready to close its doors?
I
Got to get rid of their office first.
I don't know. Why do you say that?
Well, I'm hearing that there's more and more buyouts.
Well, Royce, you probably missed it, Ken, but Royce talked about this on Monday Night Sports.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You'll learn more here by accident.
You know, I'm
than
not
elsewhere
done
by
here.
design.
I was giving Rook some
Joe
props.
Souchere.
That was
Yeah,
interesting.
thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
I have sports,
I'm done for the day.
Thank you. I have sports disappointment history.
On June 5th?
That's right.
Yes, sir.
On this day,
June 5th.
in 1983, this is a very cryptic sports disappointment.
Twins related?
Yes. Twins inform Belcher they will be drafting him.
Oh, my God.
Less than enthused.
Yeah.
Who was less than enthused?
Tim Belcher.
Belcher.
And his dad did not want to sign with the Twins.
Oh, was he a big high draft choice?
He was, I think, number 1.
Where'd he end up?
He ended up with the Dodgers.
He didn't sign here?
He did not.
Did he have a career?
He did. He actually had a decent career.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
Does
he
that
wasn't-
hurt you? Did that hurt
14
him?
years he played.
Did
Well,
what
he
hurt
had
him?
to sit out the year, Kenny, but he was drafted the following season. And
Tim-
that's happened
wasn't it
before.
Tim Belcher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
pitcher?
yes. Drew. What was the Drew? He played for the Saints for a year because he didn't like the team that drafted
Drew
him either.
Butera?
No. JD
Barrymore.
Drew? JD
J.D.
Drew.
Drew.
Barrymore.
By the way, what happened last night in Oakland? Did the Twins
Twins win again.
We did.
Nice.
6-1.
No, 6-1. Wow. I turned it off too early.
Why do the players not like that ballpark, John?
Is this a joke?
Apparently because there's no upper deck or anything. The wind currents are very odd when you play the outfield. So they're not used to playing there. Plus, they would like more people.
Who's that little short guy who plays out in the infield? He hit a home run that looked like it left the ballpark.
For us?
Brookslee? Or are you talking about...
Little guy with the goofy head?
I don't know who hit one last night.
Or you're not talking about Lewis, are you?
See, I would think that ballpark would be agreeable to major leaguers because there's nothing to interfere with the ball coming to the plate. There's such a low level of seating on the outfield that all they're seeing is sky. You could think they could see the ball much better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of. But every ballpark has a black drop or whatever.
No, I understand. But this is nature's backdrop. It's just the sky.
And thanks for that look in sports.
So I was laughing at Mr. Olson there.
What'd he do? Is he trying
nothing? He did absolutely nothing to you.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
I'm trying to look up the 1983 MLB draft.
The Dodgers drafted.
Yeah.
Belcher and...
Trying to get back to normal. Being nice really hurts me.
Thank you, G. Ellers.
Please do us a favor if you haven't done so already and smash that like button and subscribe to the Garage Logic YouTube channel. That's right, Garage Logic has a YouTube channel and you can watch the show each and every single day starting right around noon. Just search for Garage Logic. That's 2 words, Garage Logic on YouTube. And follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. You can find out more and sign up right now by going to the website, which is, of course, garagelogic.com. Time once again to check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh. And he is there for you for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice. And he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And boy, Josh, isn't it just amazing how one simple phone call between 2 global powers can just get some things done?
Simple. You need something to get done, pick up the phone. The guy on the other end, no, we're not going to make the call. Unless he calls, I'm not going to call. Hey, today, I'll say as a semi-surprise, particularly after the news over the last several days, that President Xi of China was a tough negotiator, tough to get a hold of. But we're still friends. President Trump picked up the phone today and called President Xi. According to reports, they spoke for 90 minutes and got some things agreed to. I'll say reports of this gave the stock market a nice turnaround from negative to positive. Got things moving so that positive things could happen as a result of their talks over the next 45 days plus, and that could lead to a better trade deal than currently exists. The United States wants rare earth metals and magnets, and China wants and needs U.S. semiconductor chips, not to mention a few other things like foodstuffs, which would definitely help our agricultural businesses. And this could lead, and I say could lead, to something positive going forward. This tariff situation, as you know, I am not in favor of the tariffs, but, and I would have to say, over time, maybe this could lead to some better trade relations between nations, particularly the U.S. and China. Hopefully, in terms of the trade front, we're able to get better trade deals or relaxation in the trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada and the U.S. and Mexico, both of which had been our largest two trading partners. Only time will tell. Other political news we're watching revolves around the big, beautiful bill, which I believe I covered yesterday, as the Senate Republicans look to want to break the bill in half, getting the budget bill passed and then tackling a tax bill. So we'll see how that goes. On the Fed front, Fed governors who have been speaking have cited uncertainties about the impact of tariffs on inflation, yet with recent jobs numbers coming out, they could have some leeway to start cutting rates later this summer, or at least cut interest rates once. And that could also be a positive for both the stock and bond market, especially if the labor market remains punk. Private payroll jobs that were announced yesterday were very weak in the month of May, and the jobless claims numbers for this week were elevated. Tomorrow comes the May employment report, and we'll give further information on the jobs front then for the Fed to consider. Meanwhile, favorite Amazon is investing about $10 billion in North Carolina to develop data centers, and they have also been working on their space project. Their stock has had a nice little lift, which I like to see, but it's still way below their high of $240 earlier this year. But Amazon, I believe, represents a lot of opportunity in numerous areas, whether it be on the retail end, whether it be with advertising, which is growing for them, whether it be with artificial intelligence, or with their cloud and data services with AWS. And lastly, of course, there's transportation going on. And speaking of transportation, Amazon looks to be developing some humanoid robots to handle some delivery. Wouldn't that be interesting? And that kind of, we'll say, accelerates the competition between two of the richest men in the world, Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Elon Musk, who runs Tesla and SpaceX. Going to be something to see.
Excellent advice, as always, Mr. Money Talk. Well, you heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice. And once again, he delivers. Josh Arnold, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Just remember, Chris.
Yes, sir.
You have a problem with somebody, don't send them a text. Don't send them an email. Pick up the phone and call.
Bingo. Josh, you're the best. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorsed